Hello, and welcome to Antonia's Promise podcast. Do you believe in miracles? Well, then I have a story for you. Antonia's Promise podcast is a true story and testimony filled with miracles, healings, love, and hope. On February 10th, 2019, I prayed for a miracle with my rosary wrapped tight around my hand and a picture of Jesus by my side. I prayed that if God granted me my miracle, then I promised that I would speak love and light as a vessel for Him. On February 11, 2019, the day of the sick, Feast of Lady of Lords, I received my miracle. I'd like to invite special guest speakers on my podcast to share their story of miracles, healings, and hope, and how God has created miracles in my life. Join me as we bring love and light to listeners everywhere. Hello, and welcome to Antonia's Promise podcast. Today on the show, we have a very special friend of mine by the name of Joe Cirillo. Joe Cirillo is a producer and former New York Police Department officer discovered by Mike Nichols. While he was on duty for NYPD, he played in roles such as Ghostbusters, Splash, The Godfather, and the TV series iHeart, and of course, Kojak. He also ran two successful companies providing security for films and celebrities such as, ready for this, John Candy, Sinatra, Robert De Niro, Tom Hanks, Barbra Streisand, Jackie Gleason, Jerry Lewis, and I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. In New York. He also is a screenwriter and has two musicals and a cooking show that he produces with his son, Richard Cirillo.
Right.
Another gentleman that's very kind. Wow, that was a mouthful. Joe, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Pleasure being here.
I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this for a while. But before we get into all of these amazing things, I want to share a story, right?
Go ahead.
And the story is how we met. And I love serendipity. I love how God puts me at the right place at the right time, and there's always a story to share.
Oh, wow.
So the story is how I met Joe, which is really amazing. I joined La Loggia 1016 in Glen Cove, Sons and Daughters of Italy.
Right.
And it was the night that I was being sworn in as a new member. And at the end of the meetings, there's always pasta fagioli and all of this food. And I happened to be there with a friend and partner of mine. I work for New York Life as well, and we were there. And after the meeting, I was talking to people. I had my little plate of food, and I was looking around. I'm like, I got to sit with somebody. And I went, and I remember you were sitting there.
I was sitting
and
there.
I had said, is it okay if I sit with you? And you, with a big smile, said, of course, sit.
Right.
So I sat down. And we started eating, and I said, let me just give my daughter a call and check my kids because I do have three. And there's always something. Before that.
Oh.
So I put the phone down, and you start telling me about your career and who you were, and you start saying how you were this actor in Ghostbusters. I'm like, Ghostbusters? I grew up with Ghostbusters. Oh, my God. And I was so enamored by you. And you had to go. So you said, okay, I'm going to go now. And I said, oh, it was very nice meeting you. And you left. So afterwards, I was trying to help clean up and stuff. And everybody there is just wonderful. And the board was left, right? The ladies and gentlemen of the board. And I says, oh, let me go get my phone. And I couldn't find my phone. I'm like, where is my phone? Well, everybody was helping me look for this phone. Everyone. So then I said, let me call my husband and see where the 360 says where my phone is. So finally, my daughter gets on the phone. She goes, Mom, your phone is like 20 minutes away from where you are. I'm like, oh, my God. So Marissa, the president, says, let me put out a road call. So that means text message, right, to anyone who may have known where the phone is. So she puts out the road call, and all of a sudden she answers the phone. She goes, oh, my God. And everyone's waiting. They go, who has it? And she goes, Joe Cirillo. I go, Ghostbusters has my phone. And I went to your house, and there you were with a book ready for me. And I have to share your book. And this is his book. And it's an offer I couldn't refuse. But what Joe wrote in the book was...
I don't think that's your copy.
Oh.
No, you didn't have your copy. You didn't bring, or did you?
No, I did.
Okay.
I did bring my copy. I don't know whose that was.
That's
but
mine.
It's still. Oh, that's yours.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the one I keep in my
but this.
bag.
Okay, so they look alike. So of course I got confused, right?
Right.
But my copy says, Antonia, I never was that good at stealing cell phones. I hope you enjoy reading my life's journey, Joe Cirillo. And I will tell you this. I'm so grateful for our friendship and how we met. And here we are now. And when I launched my podcast, you had reached out to me and you said, Antonia, your podcast is about miracles. And I said, yes. And you said, well, I have a story for you. And I said, you got to be on the show. And you said, yes. And then here we are today. But, you know, what an introduction to who you are and what you've done with your life, right? And the honor that I have today by sitting here with you and getting to know you, not just as a friend, but all of these things.
Yes.
And what an honorable gentleman you are. And the more I learn about you, the more impressed I am. I'm like, wow.
Thank you so much for that. Well, anyway, do you want to hear about my miracle, I guess?
I can't wait to hear your story.
I'd say I had quite a few miracles. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I was a combat veteran in the Korean War. And in the Korean War, 3 incidents where I could have been killed. And close to it, very close. And a couple other people were killed in my place because I just left that spot. They relieved me. And as I turned to leave, they got hit with a shell and they were killed instantly. So I had 3 incidents where my life was really in danger in Korea. In the NYPD, in fact, I got a life-saving award for this one. There was a woman who wanted to commit suicide, and she jumped on the tracks. She wanted to get killed by the train. And we arrived, me and my partner, and we jumped on the tracks, and we're trying to pull her off. And she's determined to commit suicide. The power's on, everything's there, and she's trying to kick the third rail. And luckily, trains went by, everything happened, but we saved her life. She didn't commit suicide. But had she touched the third rail, I wouldn't be here today. Now, an incident happened years later, maybe 15 years ago. I had a problem with my foot, and I went to a foot doctor. And he gave me a shot between my toes. Everything was fine. I got up. I went to the door with my wife. She was accompanying me. And I was saying, when do you want me to come back, Doc? And he started to talk to me. And all of a sudden, I collapsed.
Oh.
I guess I fainted, whatever it was. But you know about the tunnel when people are going into this tunnel?
I've heard about this.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
Now, I'm hallucinating. I'm in my car. The windshield's black. You can't see beyond it. I'm going at a great speed, 100 miles, 200 miles an hour. Tremendous speed going into this tunnel where the light is getting closer and closer and closer. I start banging on the steering wheel. I says, I got to get control. I got to get control. I got to get control. And then all of a sudden I woke up. And my wife is screaming, and the doctor has a mask over my face. Says, oh my God, we thought we lost you. So I think that was a miracle because I probably was right a few seconds away from death.
Wasn't your time, Joe.
Wasn't my time, and that's what's
was
happening
not
today.
your time.
I've since then I've done so much charity work, you name it. I've been doing a lot of stuff, and I actually feel that God puts you on this earth for a reason.
Amen.
And I've done everything possible, as you know. I've written a Christmas song, so I said, "Oh, this is it." And then I also I sign autographs for my role in Ghostbusters. In
Yeah.
fact, at the 40th anniversary, I signed autographs for 6 hours, and they raised a lot of money from me and also the fire department that was there. And they charge a certain amount of money, and half of it goes to charity.
Mm-hmm.
And they also had me up in Buffalo, New York, where I did the same thing. I go up there and I speak and sign autographs, and the money, half of it goes to charity. Well, between that, with Buffalo, who ran the 40th anniversary in New York, they gave over $42,000 to the Tunnels to Towers.
That's great.
I've been lately, and I've gone all over the place. They fly me to different cities. I was in Sioux City, Iowa. The police chief greeted me. He took me all over. He actually gave me a shield, a real shield, a real hat device from the police department. We became friends. The next day when I was at my signing of autographs, the mayor came and he announced it, a proclamation, Joe Cirillo Day in Sioux City.
Mm-hmm.
And again, half the monies go to charity. So that's what I've been doing.
So
I've been going to different cities. I sign autographs, and half the money goes to charities. I also do that here in New York with libraries and so on.
So, you talk about the woman wanting to commit suicide.
Yes.
You talk about, God forbid, that electric panel would have been touched.
Yes.
You talk about I can't help but think you have angels protecting you.
Definitely.
You have things, guardians in your place. Your angels are everywhere. But it is not. It was, and the story that you shared with me about seeing that tunnel and feeling that, and really being present and waking up in the hospital. There are people that experience things this way. It was not your time.
No, that's it.
And then here we are today, right? And if I may I disclose your age?
Go ahead.
You're 93 years old. And you are not done.
No.
You're not done. You're talking about musicals. You're talking about cooking shows, which we'll talk more about. But if you're not the example of it wasn't your time and God still has a plan for you,
right,
and you're still persistently going after it, what is, right? But you also mention how charitably you're giving back because you know that you had God in your life
definitely
that put a hand on this.
Yes, definitely.
But your persistency shines through.
Thank you.
But you're also a gentleman and a leader, and you continue to be through your family, working with your son on a cooking show, and I want to hear more about that. But these are all miracles that you're talking about.
Yes. And like I said, it happened with Korea, the police department, and then the situation I just spoke about. So there were many times where I thought that was it for me. But like I said, I think we're all put on this earth for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I did the Christmas song, which is published in a lot of churches, local churches play it, I said to myself, well, this is maybe what he wanted from me, and who knows, maybe this is it. This is it for me. But no, and then I started the charity. And again, the same thing. So I guess when I complete what he wants me to do, I say goodbye to everybody.
Not yet, though. Not yet.
Not yet. I'm still here.
No.
I'm still doing it. I'm still.
And you will continue to.
I love doing it. I actually love doing it.
And I think that's why you're still here.
Yeah.
Is because you don't give up and you have that driving force.
Definitely.
But you have God's strength also.
And I love people. And I was a police officer. I had a foot post, patrol post. And it was from West 80th Street to West 83rd Street on Columbus Avenue. All stores, a hotel, and so on. And when I had that beat, I would go into every single store, introduce myself, and became friends with every shopkeeper. They all knew me, Joe the Cop. and I became very friendly. I always loved helping people. So wherever I could help someone, I always do. I still to today, if somebody comes up to me with a problem, I'll try to solve it for them. At least I try. If it's not successful, wait, I know I tried. So.
I believe in good deeds.
Yes, yes.
I believe in being a good human. I believe in doing the right thing. And it
Definitely.
sounds like that's what you've done. But I also think it's because you have God in your life.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I go to church on Sundays. My whole family's religious. You know, my daughter and my sons. I mean, everyone. Well, you met my son Richard, and you see how he is.
Yes, and
yes,
my
so,
Mary, right? My
Mary.
Mary.
Oh, my
it's
Mary.
not Mary.
No, it's my
Mary.
You
and
know,
what a doll, right? Like I have to mention this because I'll be honest. Sometimes you feel like you're alone, right? Not with God. I always feel like I have that friendship,
yes.
but you need a village, right? We talked about this.
Yes.
You need to have a village of people that love and support you and stand by you and believe in you and have that fortress. And that's my dad, and he's going to do. And till this day, in meeting your family and meeting my Mary, as you like to call her, and I told her that story. I mean, really, like, they really believe in you, Joe. They believe in everything you do, and it shows forth in you, and that makes you probably the bigger and the better and the stronger man that you are. But faith is the center of their universe.
Yes, yes.
And I heard that at dinner. I hear that in you when you speak, and that's why my spirit loves you so much. From the day that I met you.
Thank you.
Right? And we have this attraction to each other, I think, when we have faith at the center of our universe as well. But you have that support at home, as do I, right?
Right.
And it's so important to push forth and do what it is that we want to do in this life.
Right. And I'll continue to do what I'm doing now. But, you know, I never acknowledge my girlfriend, Mary Genova is my girlfriend. And she was the one who actually told me or said to me, you have to finish your book. You know, I started writing my book, and I only got so far. And she kept plugging away at me, Joe, you have to finish it. And she's the reason that I finished the book. Now I go on speaking, you know, like I said, signing autographs in libraries and so on. And Mary's always there with me. And the funny thing is, it's not funny, but for some reason, I always forget to acknowledge her.
Well, we'll acknowledge her here today.
Here she is doing all the work.
Would you say that she's your driving force?
I would say so, yes. No, Mary, like I said, I would never be here now with the book and so on if it weren't for Mary.
And she loves the Virgin Mary, too, from what I understand.
Yes, yes. She's a great person. What can I say about her? She's probably listening, so I don't want to say too much. But she knows my feelings.
Yeah, and you know what? You're grateful for her, and that's all that
grateful,
matters.
Definitely.
You know.
Yeah, at my age, she's much younger than me, but we're very compatible.
Right?
Yes,
you
we're
took the
very
words.
Compatible. You met her, so you know what she's all about.
Mm-hmm.
My family loves her.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my great-grandchildren, I have a lot. I have 3 children, 9 grandchildren, and 14 great-grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And some of my grandchildren call her Nana.
Oh,
yeah, so.
My mother's a nonna to my children, and that's special.
And Mary has no grandchildren, but
oh.
my great-grandchildren call her Nana.
Beautiful.
So,
that's so great. Joe, where do you see yourself with all of these things that you've done and created? I know you said that you still have, musicals, and you still have these screenplays. And, why, at your age, do you think this hasn't been either picked up or gone anywhere?
You mentioned all the people that I know, that I've been with, big stars and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Nichols.
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest directors, producers in Hollywood. He's the one that gave me my break. He did a lot of movies. Never once did I walk up to him and say, Mike, can I be in your movie? Or do you have a part for me? I can't do that. The same thing with De Niro. De Niro, I did security for almost all of his films that were shot in New York at the time, at least 4 or 5. And I was his personal security on the set and walking around with him and everything. And I never once went to him and said, look, I've got this, I've got that, I've got screenplays, or can you use me in one of your movies? Never did that. And then you look at Chaz Palminteri, he tells them about his book, they do the movie, and they did, and Chaz Palminteri right now is a big star. His book and the movie, he's known all over the world now. And that was through De Niro, who I knew and never asked for anything.
So what I'm feeling is that your whole life, you almost felt so grateful for the opportunities at hand.
Yes.
That God put you at the right place at the right time, that you almost went, I'm not going to bother these people.
No, right.
I'm not going to intrude. I'm not going to ask. But I want you to do something for me right now. See, because God wants you to ask him. That's what I've learned, Joe. I have the chills as I say that. God knows all of us. He knows all of his children.
Right.
And he blesses us all the time. But I want you to ask him right now on my show what it is that you want. I want your ask.
What I'm looking for, again, we mentioned I have the book. I think it's over 10 screenplays I know that I wrote. I have the 2 musicals. One, we can't do anything because copyright laws and so on. But one of them is ready to go. I have the disc on the music. I have the music sheets. I have the book. It's all set to go. Again, my screenplays. I would like an agent to represent me.
Have you ever asked for an agent?
It's a funny thing. I'm in the business over 50 years, and you know what I've accomplished. I never paid an agent 10%. Mm-hmm. So now that I'm a little older.
But you never looked for an agent either.
No, not really, because, when you're nice to people, they're nice to you.
That's right.
All the people that helped me, I was nice to. Of course, they reciprocated. I never asked for anything, like I said. And just knowing me, people did things for me. So I can't complain.
Well, we're going to ask right now that if the right agent is listening
there you go.
and wants to work with Joe Cirillo,
right,
and wants to acquire these musicals or these things or a cooking show that you have with.
Yes,
and tell
Richard,
me about the cooking show, right? This is something that I have to say is so interesting to me because as an entrepreneur, and I will say that it's special what he's doing because he's giving people a platform in a very interesting way.
Yes.
Because these people want to be seen and heard, and he's using his creative ability, which is cooking, and introducing them to this world by showcasing their music.
Definitely.
And he's an amazing cook from what I understand from you.
Yes.
Although he's going to have to cook me a meal. So I'm going to ask him.
At one time, he was in. It was in New York. It was a convention, and he was cooking and so on, and he won the prize of top table. So whatever his cooking abilities and everything, and like I said, then we went on to do shows. We did a few shows. I did Cucina Italiana, whatever, and. It was good. The whole show was good. We loved it, but it was no different from any other cooking show. Mm-hmm. So they said, you've got to come up with a gimmick. Mm-hmm. So we did. We came up with Feeding the Starving Artist, Rich Cirillo Feeding the Starving Artist. And what that was, we came up with the idea of getting people who were trying to make it in show business to show their talent on our show and then they sing for us or whatever their talent is, and Richard cooks for them.
A lot of creativity.
Yeah.
A lot of creativity.
So we actually we flew people in from Nashville, Tennessee, and they came on the show, and they sang and did their show. Then Richard cooked for them. And the following week or two, we did another show with a rap group. So we did get a lot of people loved it, but we never, I believe it was NBC. We had somebody from NBC who was interested. I don't remember what happened, but we backed out of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
But that show was still
Wasn't
available.
the right time.
Wasn't, no.
Timing is truly
everything. There was something wrong, and we backed out of it.
That's okay.
Then we did more shows, more cooking shows that I produced. And again, it was all my money. I spent all the money on producing and directing and so on. So I would love it if somebody would say, hey, let me take a look at that show. Let's see what you got. And who knows, maybe Richard start cooking again on TV, or, one of my scripts. Hey, you got a movie going, Joe.
Yeah.
I would love that. So
you sound like a very supporting, loving father as well. You do, because in my home, I always, when my children are bored, since they were young, I would say, use your imagination, use your creativity. And my house, if you follow me on Instagram, I have painting, I have artwork, I have drawing, I create, right? But this is all creativity.
Yes.
And I don't care if my kitchen table is dirty. I don't care if there's paint on the walls. My daughter, Nina, loves to cook. Right. And some days I just want to pull my hair out because my kitchen's a mess, but I can clean it. Use your creativity. And that's what it sounds like you do. You allow your children to be creative and and full of every color of the rainbow in there, and use that. And that's so important as a parent. And
definitely.
And you stand by that. And I love that.
My son Richard actually followed in my footsteps as far as entertaining people. He was a singer. He used to sing in nightclubs and so on. So he has a great singing voice. He also did a little acting. Again, with the cooking show. So he followed me in that direction. My other son, who is now in North Carolina, he followed in my footsteps with the police department.
Aww.
And he became a big boss. They said big boss, but he was a boss. And he had very important jobs. He handled all the parades in New York City, Columbus Day, St. Patty's Day. He's the one that put them all together. He also did New Year's Eve, and he put that all together, and with Dick Clark Productions.
Beautiful.
And Dick Clark, after my son retired, hired him, and to this day, he still does that for the station, Brian Seacrest. And so he followed me in that direction. So my two kids followed me. My daughter, she followed my wife. Yeah.
The apple never falls far from the tree, does it?
No.
And I believe with all three of my children, and I'm sure this will resonate with you, they all take something from the both of you.
Of course.
And you could see that in your children and the beauty in them.
You know, I even have a great-granddaughter who is a tremendous actress. She's been in school plays, musicals, and just a week ago, I think it was a week ago, I went to see a show that she was in, and she was incredible, and she stood out more than the other children. I'm sorry to say that, but not because she's my
gifted, and she's a part of you.
She is so talented. Her name is Ava Lintz. She is incredible, and I know she'll be on Broadway, definitely.
Okay, you're putting it out there.
If they needed a kid on Broadway right now, her age, she would be perfect.
And she can sing one of your songs.
I would love that. Definitely.
She could sing one of your songs.
Yeah, she dances, she sings, she's incredible. So, like you said, it doesn't fall far.
Never.
So that's a great grandchild who's doing great.
I do want to share a gift that I got for you because you gave me your beautiful book, and I have something special for you as well. This is from my company, and I just want to thank you for our friendship.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Incredible candle.
Do you see
Beautiful.
what it says?
Yeah, it says, pray you are never alone.
That's right.
And
And all the stories you shared with me, you were never alone. You were there being protected.
okay, let me, on that, whenever I write a story, screenplay, I really get into it.
Yes.
Okay. I was writing a screenplay about a psychic, and then I had to go into the people that feared the biggest fears, and I went to the library. I read books. The biggest fear, believe it or not, is to be alone. And here you got it.
With Jesus,
you are never alone.
Never alone.
That's beautiful.
Amen. There's one more, and
Yes.
this is what I said to you. You have with you.
Oh, what's this? Hey, wait a minute. Oh, wow.
And that's what you have.
Oh, thank you.
Protecting you in all your stories.
My protector. Wow. Thank you so much.
You have
for that.
angels everywhere, Joe.
Thank you so
you
much.
You really do.
Yes, yes.
You know, this has been a really special show for me. And
I love being on it.
yeah. And
thank
I always
you for having me.
Oh,
definitely.
thank you for having me. And I always like to end my show asking my special guest speakers, do you have a question for me?
Question for you. Not really, because I see what you do. I can see that. My son, as you know, he's almost a prophet. He saw in you, and he said, that woman is going places. So there's no secret that you can give me. When he's, I think I might have mentioned this to you. When he meets people, he actually knows their whole background. It's incredible. And I remember once we were filming one of his shows, and I distinctly remember this black man who came in. He was one of the crew. And my son just walked up to him, and he started telling him his whole life story. Without ever meeting this guy, everything he said to him was true. The guy collapsed on the floor. I ran upstairs. But my son, if he said that about you, it'll come to pass. Believe me.
I'll be honest, I don't want to know my future. I just trust in Jesus, and I walk one step in front of the other every day. I pick up my breadcrumbs, and I want to be surprised. I want to.
Yeah, surprise is great. Yes.
I just, I need to give a special thank you to iHeart, because
definitely
I came to iHeart for the first time, Joe, with a story. The second time I came with my crosses. The third time I came with my merch. And here we are today with my podcast.
Wow.
I could have never in a million years guessed this.
Wow.
Or thought about it. Nor would I ever want to know. But God's path for me is, I don't know what it is.
Wow.
But I'm just here to follow.
I'm so honored that I'm the first person you interviewed on your podcast. Wow. Incredible.
Yeah, at iHeart, yeah.
Thank
and
you.
I'm very grateful.
Thank you for that.
No,
yes.
thank you. And this was really special to me, and having you was even more special. And you're my friend.
Yes,
right?
we're friends,
Yeah.
definitely.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm a very blessed and lucky girl. I had Joe Cirillo on the show today at iHeartRadio, and a big thank you goes out to iHeart, as I said. But a big thank you goes out to God, because I believe in serendipity, and I believe that God puts the people in your life at the right place at the right time. I met Joe by no coincidence. He is all of the things that we spoke about today. But he had such beautiful stories about miracles and the presence of God at the right time, at the right place. And that's what Antonia's Promise podcast is all about, sharing these stories with listeners everywhere to remind you that you are never alone, that there's always your angels there, your guardian angels are there, and God is always there watching over you. I hope and pray that anything that was said today resonates with you. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that God has always given me as I continue to seek and follow Him. Thank you. Talk soon. Please visit antoniaspromise.com today for more information and to learn more about my true story of healing and miracles through faith and in Jesus Christ.